Coming up on the Making Waves VO podcast.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I can't change how I look. Like, I look this way, and my face does what it does, and people are either going to be drawn to that or they're not. And behind the mic, I can change my voice in all different ways, and I can choose all sorts of different ways to, deliver a script.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves. Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
This is the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell.
It is the Making Waves VO podcast. Here we are, smack dab in the middle of December. The end of the year is upon us. We've got a great guest coming up in just a couple of minutes. And I want to introduce my partner in crime in the voiceover world and the podcast world, Bobby Maxwell. Bobby, how are you today?
I'm doing good. You just said we're in the middle of December. Doesn't Kevin Kilpatrick have a birthday coming up?
Kevin does. Thanks for bringing it up.
Is it like any day now?
It's imminent. It is imminent. I am, my birthday is 1 week before Christmas.
Wow.
Yeah, I told my boys one time when they were little, I think they were like 6 or 7, and Kian, one of my guys, goes, "Dad, what's your birthday again?" And I go, "December the 18th, 1 week before Jesus' birthday." And he goes, "You were born before Jesus?"
I'm surprised you're not named Christian or Noel or something.
Yeah, I could have been, I guess. But, yeah. Oh, and we have a football game we're going to imminently.
Yes, we do.
The Titans and the Bengals, two of the most unaccomplished teams of the football season. Let's go see them, though. I love it.
Oh, I know. We're in the nosebleed seats, but hey, I'm wearing my stripes. Yeah.
We're going to have fun, going to have a good time. Bobby, what have you been up to? How's work been this last week?
It's kind of slow still. I did get a very big client that I'm super excited about that's going to start in 2025. So that was really nice.
Very nice. That's exciting.
Yeah.
But you
What's
probably
going on
can't.
with you?
You probably can't talk
No.
about it too much right now.
I'd rather wait till I get the first session underway to,
I got you.
just in case at the last minute they go, "Oh my God, she's awful." No, I'm just kidding.
Bobby, you are going to crush it. You are such a winner. You're such a champion. You are just going to nail this.
Thanks, Kev.
Absolutely. I've been busy. Thankfully, I really thought the automotive stuff was going to be a little bit slower. But man, there's lots of end of the year sales going on, and we must make room for new inventory stuff. And hey, I'll take it though. I'll take it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, hey, we're going to let our guest join us. We're going to be honored and pleased to have our guest join us here in just a second. But it is Dani States. And Bobby, tell me your connection with Dani States.
Dani and I met at VO Atlanta. It's been quite a few years now. And it was just kind of an in-passing thing, or we may have taken the same class together, or somebody introduced us. Honestly, you know how VO Atlanta is. You meet so many people in that week. But I knew that she had started her own CRM, and so I've been with that for about 4 years now. And then found out we have a mutual friend, Kay Bess, and we had lunch together at another voiceover Atlanta a couple of years ago, and just got to know more about Dani. Sweet, sweet lady out of the Pacific Northwest, doing really well in voiceover, and now a CRM software platform of her own.
I love it. Well, let's chat with her. Dani States, voice actor, on-camera talent. Welcome to the Making Waves VO podcast.
Hey, thanks. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, P.S. I almost forgot. The Making Waves VO podcast is presented by our good friends at Full Compass, fullcompass.com.
We know VO.
Dani, So you have a long story in terms of voiceover. We know you do on camera. We know you're behind the mic. You have some amazing narrations, documentary narrations to your credit, and you do a lot of other various things in the voiceover world. I want to start by asking, and you do CRM, and we're going to talk about that coming up. But Danny, I want to first ask you, how did you do it? How did you start in voiceover?
How did I start in voiceover? Well, it goes back to when I was in my early 20s, and I did a couple of radio commercials here locally in Seattle. I had a boyfriend who was a marketing guy, and he said, "Hey, why don't you do these spots for us?" I was like, "Okay," and went into the studio because back then there was only in-studio recording. Worked
Yeah.
with a guy who was really like well known in Seattle, and did the spots. And he was like, "Wow, you're really good." And I was like, "Oh, cool."
So you had never done it at all before?
Never done
ever?
it at all. Never done it at all. And then did not do it again for 40 years.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
35 years, something like that. Yeah.
What happened? Life got in the way?
Yeah, I think I didn't know that voiceover was a thing. I think I didn't know that it was a real job. This was literally in the mid 80s, I guess. And it's Seattle, so I think I just didn't know that it was a real job. So I went off and did all my own different things and went into corporate and all of that. And fast forward to 2009, I got laid off from a job in corporate marketing for a financial firm, and thought I would do voiceover, but didn't. Went back right into the corporate world, and got laid off again in 2013. And by then I'd had it. And I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? I hate this. I have hated corporate work forever, and it's time to do something new. So, as the universe has want to do, I had already signed up for a voiceover class with voice tracks in Sausalito, and the class was aligned 2 weeks after I'd gotten laid off. It
Wow.
was yeah, and so I went into that class, did the class. It was a weekend workshop, and the guy who was leading it, Al Badrasian, I still remember him. He was like, "You have a really marketable sound." I was like, "Oh, what does that mean?" Like I really didn't know, I didn't know. And so I was on unemployment. I had 6 months of unemployment, and I jumped into voiceover like just head first on the big online casting platform back then, voices.com. They were not yet the devil, really. And slowly but surely I like worked my way in. So that's kind of that's the cliff notes, even though it
I,
felt long.
I guess the first question is, do you do a lot of corporate voiceover?
Not too much. I do a lot of technical narration. So, because I was in financial marketing for 9 years, and then I was in technology marketing for about 5 years, and 4 years, I guess. And so I really understand the lingo of technology, even if I don't always understand the deep concept of it.
Mhm.
So yeah, so I do a lot of technology. One of my biggest clients is ThoughtSpot, which is like a big AI driven data company, and I love doing their stuff because I dig it. It's fun to talk about.
Well, with this
Yeah.
path that you had, and you did your first, dabbling of voiceover in the 80s, and then you rejoined this world, maybe 10 to 12 years ago or
hmm
so. And
Yeah.
where did the on-camera stuff come into play there?
Yeah.
It's funny actually. It came into play because I have great friends in LA, and people who do on camera and voiceover, and a few friends were like, "You really should do on camera," and I was like, "No, like I do not have a face for that. My face says everything I'm thinking." And I don't always have control over that.
Too funny.
You and my wife, by the way.
Yeah. It's a blessing and a curse, let me tell you. And so but one of my son's best friends, I call him my half son because I've known him since he was in 4th grade. He is a model with one of the agencies here in Seattle, and so I finally just said, "Hey, will you send him a few of my pictures?" And I just send him candids, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll see her." And I went in, and they were like, "Yeah, we like you. We'll hire you. We'll book you, or not book you. We'll sign you." And so there you go. That's how it started.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah.
Seattle's such a big market. Do you have a lot of agents there or production houses or, I mean,
No, not really. So I have one on-camera agent, and on-camera is a whole different world. I had to learn there's a whole different world around agents in on-camera, in modeling. So there are not a lot of, I'm not with any voiceover agents here in Seattle. However, I am with In Both Ears in Portland.
Oh,
Okay.
very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
It's good to hear that. Don't go anywhere. The Making Waves VO podcast returns in a moment.
You're listening to the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. Me? Oh, I'm Joe Cipriano, and I'm here for the popcorn.
We love our friends, Bobby, at Full Compass, and this is the best time of the year to save some moolah on stuff you might need for the studio, and not only save money, but get some peace of mind too, right?
well, I love that they have their experts there that will talk with you about the equipment that you might need or will go into more details on what a particular piece of equipment can do. I mean, you're seeing all the sales for the, Amazon and Facebook Marketplace, but it's a great opportunity to talk to somebody and be assured that this is the right product for you and you're going to get a low price guarantee.
And I've worked with the folks at Full Compass. I've purchased things from them, and my customer service experience has been second to none. Nobody's better at the customer service game than Full Compass. Also, they have the biggest and best names in our audio world.
Yeah, we're talking Shure, Sennheiser, Neumann, Focusrite, all great products that people in the voiceover industry have been using successfully for years. I mean, Full Compass has been around for a long time. They know this stuff. They're a family business, and you are their priority, that you get the right equipment for the job you're doing.
Log on to fullcompass.com. If you want, search the deals page. There are some amazing deals going on right now. Check them out. Full Compass, fullcompass.com.
We know VO. And now back to Making Waves.
Something I've always been curious about is for those that do on-camera stuff and that do, voiceover stuff. What is more of a thrill, Dani States, seeing yourself on TV or hearing yourself out in the wild?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good question. I think they're both thrilling. They're both really fun and thrilling. I don't think there's a difference between it. However, I will say that I think on camera, for whatever reason, is so much easier. Yeah, I find it so much easier to just be myself, and yeah, it's a phenomenon that I have yet to uncover the reason behind.
So are you self-taping that at home, or do you go in?
Yeah, no. Well, for auditions, I self-tape.
Yeah.
For auditions, I self-tape, and I do one take, and I'm done. And I'm just like, fine, good, that's it.
I could make the
Yeah.
argument that voiceover is more challenging than on camera because you have more ways to express yourself on camera than you do behind a
For
microphone.
sure.
So I
Yeah.
could argue that it's more challenging behind a microphone. And I've heard other people say it too. And I'm like, yes, I agree, 100%.
Yeah, maybe that's true. Yeah, and at the end of the day, I can't change how I look. Like, I look this way, and my face does what it does, and people are either going to be drawn to that or they're not. And behind the mic, I can change my voice in all different ways, and I can choose all sorts of different ways to, deliver a script. And are they the right one? I don't know. But I have way less control over the on-camera stuff, so maybe that's it.
What is the most surprising genre that you work in that we would go, really? Is there anything like animation or anything like that?
No, I wish I did animation, but no. I don't think I have any sort of interesting or surprising. Well, yeah, actually, maybe. So I'm the brand voice for Furniture Row, and so it's like really super retaily, and it is probably my most fun client just because it's so not any other delivery I do anywhere else any other time. So
Cool.
maybe that, yeah.
If I were to ask you, Dani, are love seats on sale right now? Could you answer in your retail voice?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Sofas in sectionals, dining groups, bedrooms. It's all on sale.
There we go. There we go. I love it. Yep, that sounds retail to me. Good stuff. We're going to talk about your CRM coming up in just a couple of seconds. Now, Bobby, I told Bobby, Bobby, you're going to have to take the lead on this podcast a lot, but I'm going to open up the CRM discussion. What is CRM? What does it mean, and how does it benefit a voice actor?
Okay, CRM. So CRM is client relationship management. And there are some giant CRMs out there like Nimble, Zoho, HubSpot, etc. And all of those are for managing your contacts, managing your leads, managing prospects, etc., and trying to nurture these relationships into, long-term relationships. And CRMs in general can be quite complex and quite unwieldy. And if you have worked on Nimble, if you've tried Nimble or you currently use Nimble, you may find that it's super unwieldy because there's so much data and it's weirdly organized. Yeah, and there's so much garbage data. There's so much, there maybe you have like 3,000 contacts and you have 400 clients, and these 3,000, the other, whatever the math is there, 20 some hundred people are, people maybe that you want to reach out to or hope you'll reach out to or whatever. Yeah, I've tried them, and they're not for me. My mind doesn't think that way.
Is that how you started Voice Overview then?
Yeah, well, Voice Overview. So no, Voice Overview is not a CRM. So that's a question that I get asked a lot. So Voice Overview is a business tracking and management platform with a simple CRM component.
Well, tell us more then.
Yeah, yeah. So Voice Overview started because I was in corporate and I was making six figures, and I had been used to making six figures for many, many years. And if I was going to do this voiceover thing, I knew I couldn't, make six figures right away, but I knew that I needed to be like on a trajectory to do that. And so I had my husband build me a spreadsheet that that allowed me to put in data and then fed this dashboard page on the spreadsheet that had all of these beautiful metrics and visual metrics. And that was actually the start of Voice Overview.
Interesting.
Yeah. So from there, I shared it with some voiceover friends and had a really lovely woman, Rachel Fulginetti, who you probably know. I was sharing it with her, and she was like, "Oh my God, you have an app here. You have something that you should build and sell." I was like, "Oh, really?" So that's kind of how it got started. Joe Davis and I, we partnered together for a couple of years, and then he went on to do other things, and I went on to continue to run it.
I did not know that you did this with Joe Davis.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This is Katie Lee, and you've got the best VO podcast in all of the land right here. The Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin and Bobby. Enjoy.
So if I were to say some of the important things in a CRM, and I know you just said that you're not a CRM, but do these also apply to Voice Overview, lead management,
Yes.
customization, third-party integration?
Some third-party integration. Yes.
Okay. And
Yeah.
I know you do customer support because
Yeah.
I've seen your what is it? Ask Me Anything Tuesdays?
Yeah. It used to be Ask Me Anything, but now everybody has Ask Me Anything, and I was not the first. So, I was just one of many, and so I finally changed it to office hours. But yeah, so I do, so Voice Overview I'll go back to that. It's a business tracking and management platform. And what that means is, as voice actors, we have all of these really important metrics that as businesses we need to understand. And I think for the typical person who gets into voice acting, whether they are an artist, an actor who is just branching out into voiceover now, or somebody who has just decided that they're going to do it for whatever reason, you're running a business. And most people don't jump into voiceover thinking they're running a business. And in fact, I don't even think I did. I don't think I jumped into it thinking I was running a business. I jumped into it thinking, well, I need to at some point make as much money and replace the money that I was making in corporate. And so this thing will help me understand how I'm doing that. But I didn't think of it as a quote unquote business. Now I do, for sure. And Voice Overview, we've evolved the platform over 8 years now. I can't even believe it. We've evolved the platform over 8 years to reflect those business metrics that are super important for voice actors. For example, like, what is your booking ratio? Who are your top 10 clients, and how much have you made with them this year, over last year, over all time? What does your workflow look like based on your booking dates? And then what does your cash flow look like based on your paid dates? Things like that, things that any business needs to know, whether it's a small coffee shop or a gift store or, I don't know, Nordstrom. They all need to know that stuff.
This sounds very similar to what I did when I first transitioned from radio to VO full time, and this was in 2004. I had me like this 4x4 whiteboard, this dry erase board, and I would have down the left-hand side, up and down, M, T, W, T, H, F. And then what I would do every week, I would start on Monday. The M was for Monday. What did I do Monday? I'd put $100, $150, $200, and I would add all that up. And then I had another section to the right where I added up my weeks. So what did I do for that week? So I had all the days there, then I had all the weeks there, and I had them. Now this is on the caveman style dry erase board, but it was very motivating for me, Dani, to see that week in, week out. Okay, this is what I did 2 months ago. All right, this is what I did 6 months ago. And I would just love seeing those numbers go up. Is that kind of how you started this business tracking and management platform, was to see those numbers increase?
Yeah. And I still use it that way today. Yeah. So we have a chart called the revenue trend chart, and it's a 13-month trailing chart. And so I can see, what did I book last December? What was my total bookings for last December? And I can see, where am I now today based on that? And, the goal is always to beat that. Do I always? No. It used to be that I did a lot more than I do right now. Business is changing, it feels like. But yeah, and every time I book a job, I go back and I look at the dashboard and I go, oh yeah, there we go. I'm up now. Yeah. For me, it's a huge motivator. Mm-hmm.
Oh, definitely. And then you have the reminder section, which I mean, it's right there at the top of my overview page that says you haven't booked with such and such. Would you like to reach out to this contact? And it's like, oh, I forgot that I worked with them. Why have I not followed up with that? So that's always helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
This is so cool. And Bobby, let's just, because now I'm kind of getting excited about having something like this, because I just, I keep up with everything in QuickBooks and then, email and different things like that. And I've, a couple of spreadsheets for different things, but it almost sounds like this is a way that I can organize and track what I'm doing business-wise. So I'm getting excited. But Bobby, I wanted to hear your experience with this. You've had it a few years now, and you're just discovering these new things. Are you deploying them, Bobby? Are you implementing these things?
The things that she's mentioned, yes. There are a few things that I do not like. I do not track my auditions. I just haven't. I know a lot of people that are on this platform do, but I don't. One of my favorite parts, she was just talking about the revenue trends. I also, and we're always thinking about the community as a whole. You can actually click on where it will show the voice overview community average compared to yours.
Yeah.
So you'll know that, you're having a great month or you need to kick butt more that month.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. 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 And I love that feature for so many reasons. I love that feature because it provides sort of that trend. So am I on trend? Even if you earn well above that, the community average, you can see whether or not you're on trend, So if the community average is up and you're up, okay, you're on trend. If the community average is up and you're down, even if it's still higher than the community average, you're off trend, So how does that work? For people who are just starting out, the community average can be either really motivating or super demotivating. And
Depressing.
Yes, exactly. And so, that's why we have it so that it's optional. You can turn it on or you can turn it off.
So
Yeah.
that's everybody, whether somebody's doing their first job or whether you're, super pro and you're booking okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
That's
and,
crazy.
And one of the best parts, Kev, is Dani's software. Her platform is very, very affordable. What is it up to? $115 a year now?
Yeah, it's $115 a year or $11.99 a month. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what you're talking about, all the things that it does, is $115 a year? That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, and this is not a commercial, but that's kind of cool. That's less expensive than I imagined. And I honestly came into this organically. Green, I had no idea what your business tracking and management platform was all about. I wanted to come into it organic and just have a conversation about it. But yeah, that's very reasonably priced.
Yeah, and the reason that it's priced that way, people say that I have raised it actually for the first time in 8 years or in 7 years. I raised it this summer, but people often say that I should charge more. But the thing is that everybody wants a piece. And so if I can do the development that needs to get done, if I can run the platform the way that it needs to be run and keep it super cost effective for people, I want to be able to do that because really I believe that people should have it. I believe that it can make a huge difference in how you run your business and how you manage your business and how successful you are. And so I don't want to make it out of reach for people who are just starting out or people who are, on a steep budget. So yeah, people always ask me, when's the best time to start using Voice Overview? And honestly, when you ask that question, that's a good time to start. But if you want to kind of have a clean start, a fresh slate, start at the beginning of the year. Start in January and just start on January 1st with your bookings and clients and all of that. It's also a great way to get ready for tax year 2025. So hopefully that helps.
Hang around. We'll be back shortly.
This is John Malone coming to you straight from the Malone Zone. And you've got the best VO podcast in the whole internet right here. The Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin and Bobby. Boy, are you lucky.
As a voice actor, you want to focus on what's important, right? Like pulling off the perfect read. You don't want to stress about tech stuff. That's why Full Compass is in your corner. With 50 years experience in pro audio, Full Compass has everything we voice actors need. Mics, headphones, monitors, mixers, interfaces, DAWs, all the goodies. And their certified product experts help with everything they sell. Plus, you can get free same-day shipping, flexible financing, and a low price guarantee. See it all at fullcompass.com. Fullcompass.com. They know VO.
And now, back to Making Waves.
You had mentioned when I was emailing you about coming on the Apollo I/O for your prospecting. Can you tell us a little bit about that? That's new for you?
Yeah, Apollo I/O. So we could do a whole podcast on Apollo I/O. Apollo I/O is so amazing, and I came into it earlier this year, probably in I think January or February, and I heard about it through a group that I was in, and I checked it out, and the way that most people use it is they use it sort of as they use the free version, and they use it as sort of a one-off to look up a client's email or a prospect's email, or to find them on LinkedIn, or things like that. Some people use it to curate lists, but the things that I've started to do with it are different than that, and I'm really excited about it. Like being able to take a list that's been created by, a virtual assistant, for example, and vet that list so that you make sure that you've got like only the people who are actually whose email addresses are actually vetted. There are ways to run sequences that allow for some really automated but personal sounding communications. There are even ways to run sequences that have nothing to do with actually emailing somebody. And I'm gonna little plug here. I'm in the process of actually writing a course about that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Very
I'm
cool.
excited about it. Yeah. It's a fabulous tool. It's a fabulous tool.
Have you heard any stories? I mean, you've been doing this, a few years now, 4 years or so, with your business tracking and management platform. P.S. I'd like to give it an acronym. Can I call it BATAMP? Can I call it BATAMP now?
Perfect. Love it.
BATAMP.
That's just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, it does. It's so hideous. But anyway, have you heard any stories from those that have used your business tracking and management platform that have said, Dani, I love this. It's a great way to track what I'm doing, or hey, it motivates me. Anything like that? What kind of feedback are you getting?
Oh my gosh. So we have some testimonials on Instagram, and there's one video testimonial on our website, and then a ton of other testimonials. Yes, I have people who have tried voiceover view in the past and been like, I don't think it's for me. And then come back and tried it again and been like, oh my God, I don't know how I have lived without this. People who are deeply creative, people who have zero desire to actually track money, have come into VoiceOver View and realized that it actually has changed how they run their business completely. Yeah, I hear a lot of stories like that, and it's been 8 years, not 4 years.
Oh,
So,
wow.
So December of 2006, probably, maybe earlier than that, September maybe, we started talking to our developers and started working with them. We launched in June of 2007. So we've been around for a long time.
Love it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can I ask you add one category to your job type?
Yeah.
And if it's not there, I'm very embarrassed. Kevin and I both do a shit ton, as we called it, of automotive.
Oh.
That's an actual unit of measurement, by the way, Dani.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. That is a measurement. That's absolutely is a unit of measurement. We could. We'd have to talk about I would probably do that as a tag, frankly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would do that as a tag because it's still commercial. It's still radio, television commercial. And then I would do automotive as a tag. And I wish I did a ton of automotive. I wish I did a shit ton of it.
Thank you.
Way to get our guest cussing, Bobby.
I know.
Hey, this is international award-winning voice actor Krista Walrock, and you're listening to the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell.
It has been a real joy to get to know you on the Making Waves VO podcast, and we would love, because we all share these, we've all had them, Bobby and I have shared several nightmare session stories, but we would love to hear a Dani States nightmare session story.
Nightmare Sessions.
This is painful because it shaped how I felt about my voiceover business for a long time.
Uh-oh.
Oh gosh, it was honestly my very first voiceover session. I have not had really any nightmare sessions since then. But this one was my very first voiceover session. It was probably in, the first 4 months that I'd done voiceover, that I was doing voiceover. And the client wanted to do it via WebEx. There was no Zoom back then. There was only WebEx. And he wanted to do it via WebEx. And I agonized all night long, worried about how I was going to integrate it with my system. Like, I didn't know how to do it. I had no idea how it was going to work. And I got onto the session with this guy, and I had been so nervous, and I had slept so poorly the night before.
Of course.
And I, again, also it was my first session, for God's
Yeah.
sakes. And so and even as I say this right now, like, I can feel all the emotions come back. You know how that is?
Yeah.
I can just feel all the emotions come back. And I was short of breath. I couldn't catch my breath. I couldn't get anything out. And my voice was like this because I was so nervous. And and I can hear it in the spot today when I go back and listen to it. And the worst part of it was I was so nervous that I had just excruciating mouth noise. It was
Oh, no.
excruciating. You get that whole dry mouth thing, right? And during the session, this very, I say this completely facetiously, this very kind guy said, "God, you've got a lot of mouth noise. Can you fix that?"
Wow.
And I was I was mortified.
I'll bet.
I was mortified. And so that colored, I would say, the next 2 or 3 years of sessions.
Wow.
And probably colored, and I learned to manage it. I think I'm a bit of an anxious person. And I mask it really well. I manage it really well. And so I think I managed it quite well in all of my sessions. In fact, here's what I did going forward for the next probably 3 or 4 years. In any voiceover session that I got into, I said, "Hey, just so you know, the first few minutes, I'm always a little nervous. And so it might take me a minute or two it might take me a read or two to warm up. But once we get through that, I'll be fine."
Oh, wow.
And
There you go.
yeah, and that gave me permission to screw up, and often I didn't then. It gave me permission to be nervous, and often I wasn't after that. But yeah, so
But
there
haven't you
go.
noticed that being in the business for so long now that a lot more people have mouth noise than you think they do?
Yes. And I do. And, at the end of the day, the thing that I've finally come to terms with is that I'm a human being, and human beings have mouth noise, and it's very lovely when they don't. And mine's not so like, that it's atrocious. It just is part of being human.
Right. Wouldn't it be great if they, how they're asking for the very conversational read, if they did like the conversational / mouth noise read that became a thing?
Yeah. We should all be so lucky.
Awesome. That'd be awesome.
Oh, my
How
goodness.
how can they get a hold of you if they'd like to check out VoiceOverView, Dani?
Yeah, go to voiceoverview.com. Yeah, that's our public-facing website, and there's all sorts of information there about it.
And what about your voiceover website?
DaniStates.com.
All right. And spell Dani if you would.
Yeah, DaniStates.
Perfect. Dani, thank you so much for your time. And Bobby and I wish you much success moving forward.
Thank you. It's been
Thanks,
such
Dani.
a pleasure. It's been so fun. I really appreciate it.
Great to catch up.
Well, that was nice. It was different than what I expected because I was expecting more of a traditional CRM kind of vibe, but I love all the things that Dani States and her application do.
I think that's why I love it so much and continue to bring it on every year, is because it is pretty easy, but it gives you a lot of basic information that, your little dry erase board might not.
Exactly.
I could so see one of your twins going up and erasing like the whole year's.
Oh, I know. And it was a thing. It was like, don't go near my dry erase board. Just don't go near it. Because I had like every single week, and I had it up there because sometimes I'd have guests, but I wrote it in such a way that you had no clue what all these numbers were. You had no clue. It was like some secret code that only I knew, and that was pretty much it. But anyway, it was a way that I motivated myself when I first started, and I would track the daily, I would track the weekly, and all these things. But I wanted to reiterate to those that are listening that this was not a commercial for Dani. This was just kind of a thing to talk about in the voiceover world in our business. And she mentioned it. It took her a long time to figure it out. It is a business that we're in, and we could all use tools like this.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's several other voiceover type programs like this. If you want to check them out, just to let you know, this is not a plug just for Dani, but she pretty much told us exactly, explained what she's doing and how it's beneficial to us. So we, again, thank her.
Yeah, you might do better on a dry erase system like I did back in the day, some spreadsheets, some good old Excel stuff. But whatever it takes, though, to motivate yourself to keep getting better and to keep increasing those numbers. Whatever it takes to do that. Yeah, this has been a fun, eye-opening podcast, Bobby.
Good. I'm glad that we can get her on.
Yeah, we'll do it again next week. I'm trying to think. Oh, hang on a second. I got to double check something. Let me pull up the old calendar. Yes, we've got a super fun one coming up next week. Super fun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We have a fun person coming up. Good.
Yeah, not that Dani was not fun. Dani was plenty of fun in her own way. But next week could get a little wacky and zany.
I love zany.
Very cool. Well, Bobby, we'll talk to you next week. The Making Waves VO podcast presented by our good friends at Full Compass, fullcompass.com.
We know VO.
Bye, Bobby.
Bye.
The Making Waves VO podcast is produced by K2 Media Productions with hosts Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. Sound design and editing by Jason Traver. Production assistance by Lacey Deline. Publicity and social media by Shannon Scott and Silas Phillips. Be sure to subscribe to the Making Waves VO podcast on your favorite platform. For all episodes, merchandise, gear, and more, visit makingwavesvo.com. Until next time, I'm AJ McKay. Keep making waves.